and welcome back to episode 10 of the Football Fanatic podcast. I'm your host, Declan O'Connor, and with me today are Howard, Daniel, and we have a Spurs fan, especially seen as they're top of the table. We have Adrian with us today. Adrian, you're very welcome. Thanks very much for coming on.
Thanks, guys. Thanks so much.
No worries. Episode 10, kind of surprised we have made it this far, but the hate mail has stopped and we are getting hundreds of viewers each week. So, I mean, we're obviously doing something right. Kira, and funnily enough, the week that Kieran isn't on, the numbers tend to go up. So, it might kind of be selective. There. I'm only joking.
The numbers go up, but the knickers come in the post stop.
Fair enough. No, come here. Listen, thank you very much to everyone who is subscribing on YouTube, who is following us on Spotify, commenting on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Please continue to do so. We're really enjoying it. We hope you are too. So we'll get straight into it. The weekend review. Arsenal 1, Manchester City 0. Howard, you're a happy man.
Yeah.
I was pissed off, but I'm not too downbeat yet. It's the October international break, 2 points behind yourselves and Spurs. We're in third. Last season, he had built up a much bigger lead at this point. So I'm annoyed at our performance yesterday. I'll go into a little bit more in detail, but overall, we do need to sort a few things out. Overall, I'm okay where we are. Dan, you were saying yesterday you didn't find it an entertaining game. You thought it was quite a shit game.
Yeah, no, I think both sides kind of cancelled each other out to a point. There was a fierce amount of intensity, but there wasn't much goal-mouth action. And from a Man City perspective, most definitely there was no goal-mouth action for Haaland up top. I don't think he had a kick really, did he, for the 90 minutes? And also I thought it was it was one of them where I think just both sides canceled each other out. And like for the last 20 minutes, it looked like it was nail on for 0-0. Until a nice deflection, kind of like the Charity Shield, wasn't the Charity Shield? Was a deflection, kind of there as well in that. So, but I just didn't think it was a great game. Very interesting Howard's thoughts on the slow ball, because I know he referenced here a couple of times around teams coming to the Emirates and playing slow ball, but Arteta admitted after the game that I suppose for me what it sounded as if Arsenal have decided there's a different way to maybe try and play against City, and it got them the result. So win ugly, I suppose, maybe was kind of what he went with, and it worked. So I suppose it's a win business at the end of the game, results business. So but I thought a draw would have been a fair result on the day. There was one or two contentious decisions. Well, you might be chatting about them anyway, and that as well. I thought in the game, but good for the league, Tech. Sure, it's good for the league.
Yeah, exactly.
I said I'd stay humble if we were to lose, and I will stay humble. We have a great league. It's great to watch. You know what I mean? No, you were saying about the contentious decisions. I mean, I presume you're talking about the Kovacic being one of them.
Yeah. I think he definitely. I think the first one was a definite red. And if you're going to Jones one last week, like that was still a really, really bad challenge. I think it was in the same bracket. And I think he should have went for the first one, and then
it's not the same bracket.
It is. It was a terrible challenge. It was reckless. Hang on. Yeah, it comes under the exact same bracket of dangerous. He was out of control. It was an out of control tackle, so it's a red card.
It wasn't a leg breaker tackle.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter whether a leg breaker or not. It comes in under dangerous. The whole thing of that it was a dangerous challenge. He was out of control. Yeah. He went in. He could have broke his ankle very easily with that tackle. It was terrible. My opinion is he should have went for the first one, and then the second one was a complete stonewall second yellow. So
I thought absolutely the first thing, I think it definitely deserved the yellow. The second one, he did deserve to go off. Why he was making that challenge only literally a couple of minutes later was ridiculous.
I can't, like, when everyone was watching it live, like everyone was like, he's gone, like and when that happens, like you question, like, how is he not sending him off? You know what I mean? What is going on? Like the referee, everyone is saying he should be going, and for some reason he's not going. And where's the normality? Like, everyone knows, like the common sense. It was like the Diaz thing. Everyone knows he's onside. I know that was obviously a different thing, but it was
the Jota one.
Obvious.
Like the Jota tackle. It's the same as the last Jota one. It's a stonewall second yellow.
And like maybe there was talk there like, oh, Mike Oliver wanted to keep 11v11 because they didn't want too much pressure on the referees after what happened last week and all this. Like, but like Mike Oliver was the same guy who sent Martinelli off against Wolves last year in 2 yellows into one action. It was. Do you remember that? And it's never happened ever before, and it hasn't happened since. 2 yellow cards into one play, like, and then for him to say that, okay, even if it is a strong yellow card for the first one, that the second one is exactly the same. Like it's the same. Okay, maybe he doesn't catch him just as much, but like it's if that's like an orange card, the first one is definitely a yellow card. Like if he didn't have that yellow card the first time, he's getting a yellow card for that second tackle. And like the fact that he was nearly sent off for the first tackle, it's just that's what makes it so bemusing. Anyway,
I suppose Adrian, as a neutral here, what did you think? Well, Danny, you're not really neutral because I mean you don't like Arsenal, so I won't say you're neutral, but as a different point of view, what did you think?
I was rooting for a draw, to be honest.
Of course,
it would kind of suit Spurs down to the ground, but I seen the Kovacic. I definitely think it should have been 2 yellows for sure. The studs were on show, like and like it was towards the ankle. Definitely could have really injured him. I've often got a stud onto the foot there myself, and like it's not nice, And
I do agree. You should have gone, but I don't know if the first one was a straight red. I don't know. It was absolutely a yellow. Obviously, it was an orange. I think Neville said yes. There was a I suppose, Howard, what did you think? I suppose, look, you're joint top now. It was a good performance.
The game itself, like I agree with Dan. Like if you're neutral, it was a tough watch. And that's like we talked last week about like, okay, will it be a game that Arteta will go after them and bring it to them because Rodri's not there, or will it be a game that it's like they go punch for punch and like nearly like a chess game, and it was the latter in the end, like and I think maybe the fact that he was no Martinelli and no Saka starting, they probably took that approach. It was more likely to go for that approach. To like the most important thing for Arsenal yesterday was do not lose. If you lose that game, you were in big trouble. Like you know what I mean. And they had like. It was a very controlled performance. City were controlled when they had the ball, and Arsenal had the ball were in control when they had the ball. But there was never any massive chances. Like, and with City, like when you're playing against City, no matter who they have out in the 11, if you make one slip up, sorry for the reference, Dan. If you make one slip up, you could pay and you could be a goal down, and like they're so clinical. I think City missed De Bruyne big time. I thought like his I don't think Haaland's looked the same player with De Bruyne not there feeding him balls. But just on Arsenal, like the defense, like Saliba, I think he's probably the best centre back in the Premier League at the moment, and like on form and everything. He's just he body checked. I don't know if you see that clip. He body checked Haaland onto the ground like in the first half. Martinelli obviously made a massive impact when he came on.
I was just about to say like he kind of came out flying in the second half with him.
Just to give a bit of pace, like like Trossard is very, he just controls the ball. Jesus, I thought did well in the right wing, but no, I just think Martinelli did bring it to them, and I think that basically what opened it up in the end was that goal, the long ball. Like it was funny, like they have all this control, but like how do you get at them? Like it was interesting to hear Arteta afterwards. Like Tomiyasu came on because they were afraid of Doku on the right. Against Zinchenko, so they took Zinchenko off, put Tomiyasu on, and then they brought Doku over to the other side, left wing, and because of that, you go into your midfield position that Zinchenko always plays. Tomiyasu went up there. He said, "Keep going, go up the pitch," and then there was a long ball, of course. And I thought Havertz did well enough in that in that role when he came on too. And look, it was a slice of luck. Like I don't know where the ball was going, whether it was going to be saved by Ederson or going wide or whatever. But if you don't shoot, you don't score. So
no, absolutely. And luck did play a big part in it, but I mean, as you said, 3 points is 3 points. Dan, just a quick one. Rico Lewis starting for City in a game of that magnitude. Do you think he should have started? Do you think? I
didn't think he looked out of place, to be honest. Though I think he's a decent player. Very surprised that he started. There was a bit of pep roulette there. I think everyone was nearly shocked when he put him in such a high-profile game. I think it just shows how little respect he has for Phillips that he can't even get in and get a game. To be honest, like in that kind of game where you feel that the likes of Phillips would be a presence that you'd want in there to try and break up the likes of attacks that Odegaard would be coming. Like they played Silva in the 6, that for me reminds me of the Champions League final that City lost, where they kind of just went for dead. Was it Rodri was left out, wasn't he? And like
Rodri and Fernandinho.
Yeah. Like he played Silva in the 6, and he was quizzed about it after the game, and like again, like a massive part of Man City's creative prowess was gone by putting Bernardo Silva in because he's one of your best players. Like, so yeah, I thought like I know again you said there, Tech, around it. There's only a couple of points behind going into the break. It was worse last year. City's position was worse, but there is something that's just like they've lost 3 of the last 4. Like they aren't free flowing, and I thought even some of the games they've won they haven't free flowed. And I still go back to what I said last week. In a game like that, a player to take the bull by the horn, scruff of the neck, like you don't have a De Bruyne that can do that. That can kind of do that. David Silva, there was players that you had that could do it. And for the likes of like say the lads that were playing on the pitch, Foden for me, he's in and out of games. Flair, like I love him, but like he's a great player to watch. But he's a bit of a flair player. Like he was a fault for the goal last week against Wolves. I thought he wasn't great for the goal that Arsenal ended up going. He was tracking his man and stop running. You think of like the players last year that would have come in. And Gundogan had a, he really took the ball by the horns the latter stage of last year. Mahrez as well, when he comes into the team, he always chips in with goals. And I just feel that, like if you have the likes of Grealish, is he going to come on and get you a goal? Foden, he's in and out a bit for me. Like you're relying really a lot on Alvarez in the first part of the season. He's only a young fella. How long he can keep it up for? But you could see yesterday that they were lacking. Again, I call it leaders last week. It could be slightly unfair to say leadership. They're definitely that kind of creative flair, that person that could do something a bit different. Now, Silva, if he was given the opportunity yesterday, he provides that. But like he was playing in the 6th role, and I just think that it's not saying that again that there's massive issues at City. Like De Bruyne, I think Pep said is going well. He'd be back. I think is he maybe back before Christmas or whatever like that. But I just think in a game like that last season, I City I think might have won that. In that kind of grubby way, they would have had a moment of brilliance that would have just unlocked the door and gotten the 3 points. And that's just my kind of overall feeling on it. And like it is a very, very big result for Arsenal psychologically more than anything.
Adrian, sorry, Dan. Adrian, what do you think of City? Just out of curiosity.
I love watching City play because it's very exciting football.
There's a but there coming, I think.
No, there's no but. I think the but is that, like Dan is saying there, that they're compared to last year, just without Gundogan and Mahrez. I think they're just Kovacic. He's a great signing, but just still has yet to maybe fit in to Pep's way. I think a tiny bit. But overall, they're very exciting to watch, and it's great for the league anyway. In my opinion, just to have a nice tight.
No, fair point.
If you think about it, Tech, they went for Rice for a reason. Like when you think about it, they didn't get Rice, so they went and they brought in Kovacic, who was a decent ball player, but he's not going to be the one that controls the game and gets you.
Yeah, but Kovacic was already in, though.
He was in.
Yeah. But what I'm saying to you is that they went for Rice, and the players that they brought in, Kovacic, they brought in Nunes as well from Wolves. Again, I just think that the players that they brought in, them ones they brought in, are probably not as good as the ones they let go.
But we put in a bid for Rice, but I mean, it looked like a half-hearted attempt to get Rice. I don't know. Maybe it was.
They had a budget. They had a budget. Probably they were like, well, they're going to need. Gvardiol was coming in, and he was a 100 million player, so that was already part of their. If they want to hit the financial fair play crack, and they couldn't really fork out another 100 million on Rice, so they probably just put it in there. As I said, it was probably half-hearted, but they probably would have picked him ahead of Nunes, if there was, if the two of them were the same price, you know what I mean? So
100%. But no, but I take all of your points, and I agree with some of them. I disagree with others, but I think we're in a period of transition. We've lost a few important players. We brought in a few players who will need time to gel. I thought Kovacic, he's done well so far without being brilliant. Nunes needs more games. Doku has started well, but we are missing something. Absolutely.
Rodri, you're missing fucking
Rodri. Missing Rodri. Look, you've seen him during the week.
He is the fucking linchpin. If you take him out,
100%. But is that a bad thing though? That we're so reliant on one player, and I mean he's a world class player, but I mean that doesn't bode well for us. You know what I mean?
No.
Because I mean he was an idiot. You see what he did to get himself 3 game suspension. He was acting like a fucking maniac. But I mean, you know what I mean? If that happens again, is the same issue going to come
But
back
they
up?
don't have a replacement
They
sticks,
don't.
really. You
Like
know, that's the problem.
Calvin Phillips
Like,
was supposed to
you
be
know,
the.
all the grief we were giving Jorginho last week or 2 weeks ago. If he was in,
Stop.
if he was in, I'll tell you,
I'm not. No,
if
I'm
he
not.
was in the City team at a
No,
6,
if he's in the City team, he would
he'd
be
ball it,
warming the
like, you know.
bench.
If he was in a City
Sorry.
team, he'd be fucking filling up the water bottles.
He wouldn't. No, I'm sorry.
I thought he had a good game. I thought he had a good game, personally.
No, Dan. I don't agree with Dan that often. Okay, but I'm going to agree with you on this on Jorginho. I don't rate him. I don't like him.
Well, look, all I'm saying is there's definitely better second sixes like you can have like that you don't have, like Phillips. I don't know what's going on there. Like that's just seems a bit bizarre. But anyway,
yeah, no.
Nico Lewis is a player, though. I think, isn't he?
He is definitely. Quality. He needs a haircut, but he is a very good player. You know? All right. Okay. So it is, though, as Adrian said, it's a good way to have the league so far. You have Arsenal and Tottenham on 20 points each, City on 18, Liverpool right behind on 17. So it is good to kind of have that competitiveness so early in the season. And speaking of Liverpool, Brighton 2, Liverpool 2. I thought it was an excellent game, but there's just defensive. One, for the first goal, a defensive mistake. For the second goal, maybe a lapse in concentration. So it's defense. Like going forward, they're as good as anybody in the world, I think. But it's the defense that seems to be kind of holding Liverpool back just a little bit. Again,
set pieces. Set
pieces. Andy Robertson at the weekend. Dan, what did you make of it?
I thought Liverpool were flat. Flat. Was the word that come to mind. They were lucky not to be 2 down, and then kind of there was a Brighton implosion for about. It's a pity that half time. It's kind of like one of them where a boxer gets knocked down and gets up, and you want another minute at him. Like if we had maybe another 10 minutes of break, we would have got a third. They were all over the shop, weren't they? Like they kind of controlled most of the first half, and they looked dangerous anytime they attacked, and then suddenly they're 2-1 down. Just thought that first 50 minutes of the second half we could have killed it. We came out when we were a bit better second half for that first 15 minutes. Gravenberch obviously missed that.
I was watching that again today. Like that was so amazing.
Yeah, like it was, and it was a pity because I think it was key. If we go 3-1 there, I think that we'd see it out. But look, I've talked about it several times. Again, the McAllister experiment went for another 90 minutes there, or near enough it. Yesterday, and I think more people were starting to kind of mention it than had been previously. He fucking can't play there, like. Klopp has mentioned about that he's a brilliant, fantastic player, technically really good, and has a really good mind for the game, and he does, but not in a position that isn't his position. You know, like there was a bit of Van Dijk and McAllister in the first goal, but I still think like McAllister, that's what he does. He takes a chance. He wants about 10 minutes on the ball to turn, and of course Brighton know that. And it was grand last year, Brighton, when Caicedo was alongside him. You know that as well. You wouldn't see the frailties, but you kind of see, like even the way Fabinho was last year for us, in that McAllister doesn't have the legs. Once he go gone. Anyway, by him at all, he's not getting back near you, and he's not meaty enough to kind of, or smart enough in the cynical part of the game. So look, I think the draw was a fair result on the balance of play, but we could have lost it. Like that Pedro chance, he has to be taken that away later on. You know,
a great save by Alisson. Like
but I just feel it. Against us, you're going to it's going to be a bit of that kind of way this season, especially with no real defensive kind of cover. And I think then when Trent actually thought done quite well against Matoma, and when he brought on Gomez, fuck me, whatever was going on with him, it was a complete liability when he came on. You didn't know whether to go and press Matoma or to hold off him, and he was caught a couple of times. I thought a draw was a fair result. I just think in that first 50 minutes of the second half, we could have killed the game, and we didn't. And you know, it's a bit hard to see that the 2 games there against Spurs and Brighton only come away with a point. But going into the international break, like we've played 5 of our 8 games away from home. You're sitting there on 17 points with a brand new midfield, so you can't be too disappointed. I don't think if you're a Liverpool fan. Yeah.
Just on Salah again, he got 2 goals at the weekend. I was just thinking like. He's a world-class player. His consistency over the last few years has been outstanding. I mean, you're talking 5-6 years now. And I suppose, like, take him out of the team and Liverpool are a completely different animal. But just in terms of consistency, is he 31 now?
Yeah, but is there in the last 5 or 6 years? Is there anyone better? Is what I'd ask.
No, there's not. Absolutely not. That's
numbers,
like he has been up there. He's been Liverpool's most important player. I'll go alongside Van Dijk for a few years, but Van Dijk in the last 2 years, I don't think he's been the same player since that injury. But Salah, he's always there. He's always scoring. He's always kind of grabbing games by the neck and kind of pulling you back. I just wanted to kind of get Howard's and Adrian's thought on Salah and just his consistency and where would Liverpool be without him, and how long more will he be at Liverpool? Do you think, Adrian? Start with you.
So of course there is the speculation that he was to maybe head off to Saudi Arabia.
We call Saudi Arabia the circus here, by the way.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy money being offered, and
yeah,
I suppose I don't blame him if he does go. But I suppose there's talk, isn't there, Dan, like that Salah could be going at the end of this season, so this could be his last season.
Could happen, yeah.
Could happen, could not. I suppose he might make a move at some point just to get the few bucks before the retirement or whatever, you know.
If he was to go, would so Diaz, Nunez, Gapco, Jota. I mean, who the hell do you go for, like, to try and replace a player like that, Howard?
Yeah.
Look, they'll have to replace him somehow.
They'd probably make a move for fucking Saka.
They're all talking that, Saka. But like Saka's been signed now, he wouldn't be able to afford him. He's going up with Arsenal, like, you know, it's not like, you know, Arsenal are challenging for title now as well, and they're in Champions League and stuff. So I can't see where that would, you know, the urge from any party apart from Liverpool come, you know, that would be the only avenue. But look, Salah has just been, you know, he's world class. We were talking before he went to Saudi, we were saying if he goes, like, Liverpool struggle top four, and like, you know, you'd say that now, but like they can't. Look, you can replace these people after time, but like they're not going to be living up to Salah's level. But there's plenty of, you know, good wingers out there, like, you know, but like who it is, you know, $1 million question. But it'd be interesting. It'll probably be the summer, I'd imagine, Dan. It won't be January if they let him go. It'll be the summer, yeah.
It'll be the summer. Like, I think there is a chance. I think it'll depend on how Liverpool's season goes as well. But like, he has won everything. He has been there quite a long time. The whole kind of the Saudi appeal for him, because he's kind of the golden goose for them. From I suppose his sets of beliefs and the whole lot, and his culture, where he's from. So look, it's one he could see happening. There's no point in saying that not. There was a chance he could have went in the summer. I think if it was July, I think we mentioned there in the pod, if it was July, June, July time for mad money, he could well have been on the cards. But look, we've replaced big players before, and more than other clubs there as well. You know, we had our Torres, Suarez. You know, we've been able to kind of find them. But there's no doubt all the other forwards you mentioned there, they're not in Salah's league, not one of them.
Dan, can I just ask you one other question just on McAllister? Like, you know, you're saying he's playing out of position. Do you think like he's good enough to play for Liverpool? Like, I think even in the 8.
Yeah, I think he.
It's a good question.
I think he is. I think like the ball for the goal, was it last week or was it 2 weeks ago? Who was that? He played an assist for. Who was that again? Was it Nunez? I don't know who that was against. But anyway, I think he's a good ball player. I'd worry though, again, putting him in the 8, and then if you don't have a 6 there again, he's not going to get back. Like Sebastian run all day, which is grand. But for me, there's a bit of kind of like, again, it's early stages, but Thiago for me was never a player that I liked. I know this is a bit controversial. All Liverpool fans love him. I don't really, and I kind of would have been happy enough if he went in the summer, because I think he suits a possession-based side, and I think McAllister could be a bit like that as well, to a point, but it's a bit early probably. And again, for the money he came in for, you know, he's definitely an upgrade on fucking Naby Keita. You know what I mean? But there's no doubt. But it's a good question, and I think time will tell on it for him. The legs is just the one for me. It's like he's good technically, but you know, if we don't have that kind of cover, you're playing him in the 6, he can't play there. You play him in the 8, you know, again, people will just run by him, and we don't play possession-based football, and that's why Thiago for me was always a beautiful player to watch. He's a fantastic footballer. I like Thiago as a player, but I just never thought that he's suited.
You just don't like him as a person, is it?
Like Thiago in a City team. You know what I mean? No, I like him as a person, but like Thiago in a City team, ideal. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you keep things ticking over. I just think for us, it's a bit more chaos in our midfield, and I'm not sure from the legs point of view from McAllister, but you know, they don't play what we had though, Howard. You know.
Yeah, there's a reason you went for Gazzetto, like, you know, as well.
There's a reason Gazzetto. There's a reason why we went for Tchouameni the summer before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And people forget about that. We went for him, and he went to Madrid. And look what fucking Bellingham is doing now. Like, that sickens my hole every week. See him, he's running an absolute moco for in Spain.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we move on. Burnley 1, Chelsea 4. So, Adrian, I don't know what your feelings are on Chelsea, being a London club as well, but have Chelsea finally clicked, or are there still going to be problems after the international break?
I don't know. I think the last 2 games now with the wins, I think they might actually finally click a tiny bit. Still think they probably need a decent enough goal scorer. Still think they don't have that number 9 or whatever, but I think you're going to see them steady up definitely in results, either draws or wins, something like that. But it's hard to know. It's kind of early days for them as well. But the last 2 games, they were impressive enough.
So there's slow improvements taking place.
Yeah. Well, credit, like, you know, credit them. Like, we're always, well, me particularly is always giving us think about Chelsea, but like, you know, fair play to them getting another 3 points on the board, and maybe they will kick on. They have Arsenal now after the international break. That would be a good test for them. But
straight after.
They have the players, but it's just straight after. So they have the players, but it's just can they get them all firing on the pitch at the same time? And Sterling, as you said before,
I thought Sterling had an unbelievable game at the weekend.
Yeah.
It was kind of, there was word that like he was out to prove Southgate wrong for leaving him out with a England squad.
But he's had 2 good games against Luton and Burnley, just to put that out there as well. Though.
Fair point.
I just looked like. I remember from a fantasy football perspective, like the Chelsea experiment, and they were fucking terrible for weeks. And it was their good run, their good run. So like their run is ended now. So they have Arsenal, Brentford, Tottenham away, City, Newcastle, and Brighton and United. That's their upcoming game. So I wouldn't be as hopeful for Chelsea. I think going away to Fulham, who aren't great, and going away for Burnley, who are pathetic, is not a great endearment. Fair enough, 6 points which they needed. Imagine if they went in now with maybe only 1 point from them 2 games and going into the international break. Like,
Dan, the only thing I'd say is that they probably, some of their losses that they've had today, they've, you know, statistically have been pretty good in the games. You know what I mean? Well, they've been like, you know, they've been getting lots of shots. They've been dominating the game, but they haven't been getting the result. Now, it might be a kind of thing now they're coming to this tough run of fixtures, and then it'll end up being like, just when they're starting to get their confidence, it's just shattered again. You know what I mean? And then they could end up like losing, you know, a good few games and being back down where they were last year again. But look,
can I just confirm? Was that a bit of positivity around Chelsea?
Yeah. Look, you feel feel bad after they spent a billion. You know that.
I don't feel one bit bad. Not one bit bad. I think. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think like Sterling, if he could do that on a week-to-week basis, like there is a player still in there of Sterling. But,
of course, absolutely. Suppose just on a quick one before we move on, does Kompany need to change his approach with Burnley? Like, are they being naive, as in just trying to kind of play the way they played in the Championship? You know, does he need to just kind of backs to the wall job, start getting points on the board, even if it's shitty 0-0 draws? Yeah. Like, I thought he'd come up. I thought he'd do quite well in the Premier League. I never thought for a moment that they'd be struggling like they are. Maybe I was naive in thinking that. But I mean, you know, what do you
mistakes? They keep making mistakes. Like, it's not just the style of play. Okay, the style of play is maybe high risk a bit, but they keep making errors. Like, you know, it's their own downfall. Like, he's probably scratching his head at home, thinking. But it's a different level of intensity, you know, when you go to the Premier League in comparison to the Championship. So, I can't see him changing his style of play because he probably has his players already around it, but he'll have to start picking up points soon.
Big time. I mean, they beat Luton. That's it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I mean, we string a few players together, we'd beat Luton.
You know
what I mean? Myself and Dan in midfield would fucking beat Luton. Okay, listen, Man United 2, Brentford 1. If ever results kind of told a different story altogether, this one was it. Lucky, I think you can define this game as Man United. I mean, 93rd minute, 97 minutes, Scott McTominay got the 2 goals. Just on Adrian, like we've talked about Man United numerous times over the weeks. What do you think of Man United and their start? Them as a team, Eric Ten Hag. What do you think?
So first of all, I think they are in trouble. I think it's going to be a very long season for them. And I know it's grand. They got a really glorious 2 goals in like stoppage time and all that, and it seems great. But like 2-1 against Brentford,
Yeah,
you know,
at home, yeah.
At home, Man United, like it's not looking good. Like they keep going behind against teams and find it hard to get goals. Rashford is really underperforming.
Yeah. Do you remember 2 seasons ago when Rashford kind of had that dip in form?
Yeah.
It's kind of, I don't know if it's as bad yet, but like he just looks lack of confidence.
Get subs again, yeah.
Yeah,
Strange,
I mean, and as well, Dan, I'll get your opinion on this one. Next question: what has happened to Casemiro?
But yeah, I think it was fucking like watching a circus for the first goal on Saturday night. I tuned in to watch the United game because I hadn't seen them in a couple of weeks. But if you seen Dallo, Onana, and fucking Casemiro for the first goal, like it was brutal. It was beyond brutal. And the goals they conceded in the Champions League during the week as well were fucking farcical. So I'm looking at a man here in my bottom left. He's in the bottom left of my screen there, and he looked very like fucking David De Gea with the beard that he has there. And I tell you, Man United could do with him back in goals at the moment because whatever Onana is at the moment, it's like he's fucking throwing kids.
His wrists are so weak.
Hold on, actually, I'm gonna stop you there for 1 sec, Dan. All right, see, you're looking at the screen and Howard is bottom left.
He's bottom left on mine. Yeah.
On yours, yeah. When I'm the video recording here, you're bottom left on the screen. So you're talking about yourself as far as the listeners are concerned. But
I'd give it a go. No, I tell you, it's Casemiro, but to a man, you can't just go. I know Goldie is making really bad mistakes. There's just mistakes that Hay was getting absolutely ridiculed for, and United fans for me are quiet enough on Onana at the moment because the mistakes he's making are as bad, if not worse. But they are in trouble all over the pitch. Maybe the new guy up front is kind of maybe one of the only kind of shining lights, really. And McTominay's a bit of a shining light given his 2 goals, but they are in trouble. Rashford has been abysmal. Like he has been really, really poor. He's only got 1 Premier League goal. I think that was against Arsenal at the Emirates. But he last season was unreal. Like he was really scoring week to week or involved, and at the moment now it's like they don't know where the goals are going to come from. There's no patterns to their play. And I was really uninspired watching it. And I think a lot of Man United fans, I think as well, if they're honest about it, they got the 3 points, but they wouldn't be feeling too much more kind of like positive around things at Old Trafford at the moment because they were very, very poor. They had no creativity in the final third at all. Like Brentford were comfortable enough, I think, defending in their own. They were under a bit of pressure, but look, Casemiro, brutal. But they, to a man, I think they're not playing well enough as a collective unit at all. So.
You mentioned or Howard Dan mentioned McTominay.
Yeah,
those McTominay's kind of performance of the weekend, does that warrant a start after the international break, or do you think he'll be back on the bench?
Well, it was funny when I was watching the game. The commentator, I think the co-commentator, I think he must have been Scottish. He was saying that McTominay is banging him in for Scotland. Hopefully, he'll be able to help United out here. And then he got 2 goals, so he must have a bit of an eye for goal recently. Look, on McTominay, like if the way Casemiro and all that is playing, you could throw him in, but just on United, I'm sure we have some United listeners that come in and they're like, "Geez, I might listen to the podcast this week because United are after winning," and then they tune in and it's just us completely bashing them. So I might just put a little bit of a kind of positive spin on it from a United aspect, I guess. They were struggling for
we're gonna clip this.
Yeah. They struggled for 93 minutes of the game, but they still came out winners, and it was a great last ditch win. Their players that they have injured, I know we mentioned last week. Well, it's insane. Lindelof went off as well. Like if they can get to the end of this international break and only be 8 points behind the leaders, and they can get some of their players back, I'm telling you now, a full strength United team will do damage. I'm telling you that now. Okay, even if Onana is still flaky at the back, I still think if they can get their players like a good strong starting 11 and not be playing Johnny Evans and Maguire in centre back, they will do damage to certain teams. Like, so I'm just putting a bit of a spin on it that, like, it's not all doom and gloom if they can get their players back, like, so let's see. I think it was a big 3 points. Like, if they lost that
Oh
now,
God, yeah,
that would
absolutely.
have been really, it would have been, Ten Hag would have been in trouble for a 2 week period. Imagine, like, all international break, people will be giving them guff for the whole 2 weeks. So
Yeah.
I think it's a big 3 points.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but just so like they did have most of them players at the start of the season though. That's the only one to say. Like outside the left back maybe, and I know the new striker that they bought that wasn't fit, but the rest of them
Yeah.
players, like they were all there at the start of the season, like, and it's been since the start. It just
Yeah,
looked awful,
yeah,
hasn't it, though?
Martinez has been, well, I suppose didn't have Hoyland. Martinez is a linchpin for them. They need him playing. Like, he's key. And Hoyland looks like a decent striker because they
Yeah.
need to play Rashford out on the left, because Rashford, even though he hasn't done anything since the last few games, if they can get a bit of a spine together, Casemiro he needs to start playing. If he flops this whole season, United are done. Like, they're not even going to get top four.
It's just really odd, Casemiro, because he came in last season and he was so.
Probably the best player, wasn't he?
Literally, he turned their season around.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he kind of bossed that midfield, and he was, he kind of just, he was the reason I think they ended up having what I think, and it was a decent season. But this, whatever's happened, I don't know. But okay, so the remaining results: West Ham 2, Newcastle 2, Wolves 1, Aston Villa 1, Everton 3, Bournemouth 0. And also mention Jack Harrison. I thought he had a very, very good game at the weekend. I know that was mentioned a few weeks ago that when he does come back, he could be very influential for Everton. So far, he has been. Fulham 3, Sheffield United 1, Crystal Palace 0, Notts Forest 0. And now we're on to Luton 0, Spurs 1. So, Adrian, you were down to 10 men, but you still found a way to win.
Yeah.
In my opinion, that wouldn't have happened over the last few seasons. So, like, we've talked about Ange Ball a good bit in the first few episodes of this podcast. So what has changed? What has Ange brought to the club that wasn't there over the last few seasons, in your opinion?
Yeah, so I think since Poch left, he played a very expansive style of football. He was probably, you could say, definitely not afraid to take risks, and I think that's why Spurs was doing so well with Poch. Then Santos came in, and then he didn't last very long. And then, of course, Mourinho came in, and we all know about Mourinho, very defensive. And
were you excited when Mourinho came in?
I was, yeah, personally.
Yeah,
I was, because I was like,
trophies.
He's a winner. He
sure.
was a winner, anyways.
If anything, even if it was like, I was very, very, very annoyed when he got fired before the Carabao Cup final.
That's right, yeah, against City, wasn't it?
Yeah. Because I don't know. I mean, I just thought from Daniel Levy, I thought that was a very bad decision to make, and I know he was speaking out against the Super League or something like that. But I think to get rid of Jose Mourinho a week before the cup final, and then bring in Brian Mason or whatever his name is, I just thought it was very disrespectful to the fans.
Yeah.
So kind of piddled off there. And of course, Mourinho, then we moved on to Conte.
Yeah, what did you make of that? Two interesting managers, actually, to kind of go to Spurs and to not succeed.
Two negative kind of playing managers as well, dare I say. They're defensively minded.
Defensive, and nearly very hard to watch, and like Spurs became, like, I nearly stopped watching a lot of Spurs games,
because of Conte?
Because of Conte, yeah, because it was just every game they were playing so defensively. They were always just everyone was getting shots off, like, at Spurs, and like.
Yeah. So I suppose, what do you think has changed? Like, I mean, I won't lie, I didn't know a thing about Postecoglou. I knew he was over Celtic. Kieran was telling me about him. To be honest, that's as much as I knew about him. And when he came to Spurs and Harry Kane had just gone to Bayern Munich, I was thinking, okay, they've lost their best player, one of the best players in England.
Yeah.
You know, this lad has come down from Celtic. I mean, surely he's not going to do much with them. But look, you're top of the league. What has he done? Like, what has changed?
It's insane because like that, I had those thoughts as well. Now I think he won the treble with Celtic, the domestic treble last year, or whatever, which is obviously, well, the league isn't very competitive compared to the Premier League, but like still to do that, I think shows an organization about his character, So I think what he's done is just brought that organization to the team. And even though they lost Harry Kane, which is like their talisman, I think he's still able to work. And like that, we were saying about Salah, if Salah went, I think Klopp is still good enough to bring in or even use what he has to somehow work without Salah, as well when he does go. So it's kind of like that. And Spurs is a prime example that even though you might lose your talisman or whatever, still it's not the end of the world. You get the right manager, the right organization with the team, and I suppose get the players knowing exactly what they're to do on the pitch. Because I think with Spurs, definitely you can say since the beginning of the season, there's a good. It seems for the first time in a long time that all the players know like what they're about and kind of like the organizing of the team, where they're to go on the pitch, who they're to man mark, all that sort of jazz. There's a lot of. They just look so much in better shape, and it's obviously down to the manager just organizing them, obviously giving them doing their homework on each team that they're playing. Now they have gotten lucky in a lot of games, like the Liverpool game, Sheffield United, but Luton as well. Like, I mean, if Luton,
fair enough,
could have, if they had any chance of a goal, or if they had a goal scorer at all, they were going to, I mean. Or 3 or 4
missed a few setters, didn't they?
But I suppose, when I've said it a few times over the last few episodes as well, there appears to be like a culture change at Spurs. Players, they look happy. I mean, their midfield has been basically renewed and new players are in no midfield. I mean, Basuma is playing out of his skin. I know he got a red card at the weekend, but he's had a fantastic season. So is Sarr. Madison is pulling strings. He's just playing through balls. He's kind of seeing passes. He's picking passes. He's probably player of the season so far. Maybe
definitely signing of the year. Anyway, like even the money that they got him in for, like, is
40 million
so
is
cheap,
nothing.
like, and such a good deal. Like,
I suppose, look, you find yourselves top of the table at the moment. Like, realistically, I don't think Spurs will win the league. I could be very, very wrong. I don't think they will. But what would be a good season for Spurs? Having seen them so far over the last 8 games, what do you think? What would represent a good season for you?
I think personally, because like that, after Christmas, I don't know what happens to Spurs. I think all the players just go on too much of a bender over the Christmas break. Like, but normally after Christmas, Spurs just have a great start to the season, and then they just start losing games, drawing games, and it just goes downhill. Now, I hope that doesn't happen this season. It seems like it's better organized, but like that, Mourinho was top of the table at Christmas there with them that time, and like that, got your hopes up.
I think if you look at the victory, Adrian, it says Spursy beside us.
Spursy, that's it.
I was going to say, Ange seems like a lad who'd be bringing him out in the bender. He seems like that kind of character, like,
a team bonding session, probably. I don't know, like, Adrian, where do you think, having seen Spurs so far this season, like, say, forget Mourinho and Conte, so far this season, what would be a good season for you this year?
I mean, they're out of the Carabao Cup, so obviously that's a disappointment. I think a good season would be top 4 and try and go for the FA Cup in some way.
Okay.
Trophy.
Howard, You're an Arsenal fan, so be kind
No,
there.
look,
Is top four realistic for Spurs, do you think? I think it is.
I think so. Now the key thing for Spurs is we just talked about Madison and and Son. They need to keep them fit. Madison doesn't have a great track record of staying fit. Like if he's missing for like 2 or 3 months, they will really struggle to find them assists for their goals. So like they really need to keep them players fit. They're like I don't want to be a damper. I'd be very impressed with them. Better than especially in the Emirates. I thought they were like way better than what I thought they were going to be. But like in the Liverpool game, I just thought it could have been like against 9 men. I thought they could have played a bit more expansive football. I thought they were like it was going out to Kulusevski. There was no one overlapping. It just seemed like they were going back and forth. I just thought, geez, if this was a team that was going to be, let's say, even a title challenger, they'd go for the jugular, and I didn't see that in them. Now that's not to say they can't get the top four or something like that, but I just think overall he's brought a great vibe into the club as a culture change. But all the players look happy.
Yeah.
You know, they all seem like they're on board with what he's trying to do. And the big thing is, can they get a trophy? The Carabao Cup was I thought might have been a bit of a chance to do. I think that was kind of blown under the carpet, that it was just like, oh, they're doing so well, but they're out of that now. I thought that was a bit of a dampener because you know that would have been a nice one just to try and get a trophy in the cabinet, because that's what they've been. That's what all the opposition fans are always slagging the Spurs about, is always like the trophy. And it gets on to the players, the fans back, and they just need to get over that hump.
What does it? Yeah, actually, just a quick one. This segment is called Spurs versus doing a Spurs. So Adrian, what does it mean to be doing a Spurs? What does that mean?
So to doing a Spurs is where, like that, you know, probably get so far, maybe top of the table, you know, getting results, and kind of like what Arsenal did last season.
yeah.
Good man, good stuff.
Pretty much doing the Spurs.
They build you up to knock you down.
Yeah. Sorry, that's my cat.
That's okay. No worries. We had a dog on last episode.
Oh, no worries. But yeah, doing the Spurs is just pretty much bottling it. You know, getting so far, playing so well, and then I suppose I say, you know, doing the Spurs is getting to these finals and then kind of not going out there and doing the best they could to try and win some of these finals that they have been in the last whatever.
Is it nerves you think, Adrian? Does nerves get to them? Maybe the platform that they're on, the big stage?
Yeah, I think it's obviously it's nerves. None of the players have ever won a trophy. Not that I know of that play with Spurs. So definitely getting to the likes of a Champions League final that time, like obviously had a huge like.
Can I just say that the goalkeeper you have is a massive upgrade.
Yeah,
on Lloris. He's actually, we haven't really touched on him, but he's been a big part of the way they're able to play and the control that they have in games. You know, Lloris wasn't able to do that, and he was their talisman for so long. Like,
yeah, Lloris. I don't know, just coming towards the end, their last maybe 2 seasons have been just a poor couple of mistakes creeping in and stuff like that.
City actually had a term as well that Joe Royle coined us with, Cityitis. Any ever hear of that one? They would play brilliant football, but then they would just let you down. And they would let you down, and just when you think it can't get any worse, they will find a way to make it just a little bit worse and just have that little dig. Just final question on Spurs, Adrian. Over the last few weeks, we've had a Leeds fan, we have had an Everton fan, and they've given us their favourite memories of being a fan. So do you have any specific favourite memory of being a Spurs fan?
Yeah, so I suppose my favourite memory would be kind of when I first started supporting them.
Yeah.
So
how did you become? Sorry, you said you and your brother were Spurs fans. How did you become Spurs fans?
Yeah, it's actually a funny story. My brother used to support like AC Milan.
Really?
He used to support AC Milan back in Kaka days, you know, and actually how I got into Spurs was we were playing Pro Evolution Soccer 7, and I used to kind of hate the soccer games, and my brother would want me to play with him, you know, the 2-player PlayStation 2, all that bit of crack, and I was kind of like, oh no, I was so bad at playing it, you know. So what did my brother do? Only he changed all the stats of the players on the Spurs team to 99. You could do that back then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that was when Berbatov, Robbie Keane,
Yeah.
Mal
Defoe.
Brank, all them. And next thing, we would be Spurs. And next thing, you know, I'd be shooting with Berbatov from like 45 yards out and we'd be scoring. And that's just because the game was just programmed. I had 99 skill and everything. So I was
Very good.
able to score. So then I was like, God, this team is so good. But I didn't know he had done this.
That's
But then I
excellent.
was like, oh my God, sure. This team is surely winning things in real life. Next thing, I wasn't really much into watching football. And then lo and behold, 2008, they win the Carling Cup at the time. And I
Wow.
remember actually watching it. I was at a confirmation or communion, one or the other, over in Longford. And I remember the match was on. They were against Chelsea. And I remember watching it. And I was like, oh, wow. And then Spurs won. And geez, it was such a, you know, a great moment. It was like, wow, they're after winning the cup. And
Yeah.
didn't really know what it meant at the time. I think that was 2008, that season. So then that's kind of how I started scoring them. I was like, I thought they were class because he had changed all their stats. I was
That's
scoring
brilliant.
goals from everywhere.
That's actually a great idea.
Yeah, found out then shortly afterwards that it was all a lie.
All a lie. And the truth came firing down. Favorite memory as a Spurs fan?
Oh, I think it's definitely watching the Carling Cup and seeing
the cup.
Berbatov
Yeah, no, I
team,
got you.
You know,
That's cool.
definitely winning that cup that time. Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
The last cup, is that last cup they won?
That's the last cup, yeah. 2008, I'm almost certain.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
15.
Overdue.
So 15
Yeah.
years ago, yeah. Sure, yeah. They've been knocking on the doors, like, so.
Yeah.
And
it's going to be
honestly,
very tough because
yeah,
every team
absolutely.
are improving all the time. So it's.
We will see. Okay.
Can I just throw something out there before we move on?
Of course
No,
can, yeah, work
it's
away,
it's not relevant to Spurs though. Is that okay?
Yeah, work away.
That's
Yeah.
all right.
Just around refereeing performances. I'm not going to do a Paul Merton on it now, okay? But
Oh, that was
just,
brilliant.
but I just think it'd be a shame if we went through the pod and not mention it. So I don't know. The Cavendish one we mentioned, all right. I don't know if any of you see the Bruno tackle the Newcastle West Ham game at the weekend. No,
I did actually. Yeah, I was only watching that today.
So basically, Bruno was on a yellow and hacked a lad out of it and didn't get a second yellow because it was so. It looked like it was just because it was so quickly after the first incident. And I think as well, I meant to mention earlier on that I think that Chris Pascal Gross, which I know that was a big debate as well, but I think he should have got a red at the weekend for denying a goal scoring opportunity. I just think that you have that one, you have the Kovacic one, you have the Bruno should have got sent off. Last week, we talked about it as well for Brentford.
There's an Isak, Daniel. You know the Isak goal that he got.
Yeah, that's right.
He just pushes your man like flat out in the back. And
pushed him in the back. That's right. That's another one. But I just think that like it's a fucking proper farce what's going on at the moment, you know, and they're not like for me they're not getting enough fucking abuse. There's not enough talk around the refereeing side of it. Like I know you have Paul Merton there who went completely off on one, and you know that there was a bit of that like that. If it wasn't Paul Merton, you'd say it was just for the cameras, but he is a bit
the law.
Yeah. But I just think like you know I just need to mention it. It's I find it really frustrating that some of these are like they're stonewall calls, like they're not, you know, they have VAR, but even the referees on field are seeing lads getting hacked out of it. Like that second yellow for Kovacic, like he's seen him clearly getting right as well. The Bruno one was the exact same. Your man last week for Brentford, Wiesa in the box with the goalkeeper, like they're missing fucking proper ones that Stevie Wonder could see. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's just fucking, you know, it's. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that. So,
no, it's a fair point. And I mean, VAR is there for a reason, but I think VAR has been brought in and the referees are almost afraid of it now because possibly of what they've seen it making mistakes, and they're almost maybe afraid to use it. I don't know. It's a fair question.
Can I just add that like you know, the whole idea that your man Darren England or whoever it was and Mike Oliver, they're over in UAE during the week, reffing games, and then I'm not pointing the finger at City or Newcastle or anything, but like it opens the door to questions when, let's say, you have a manager or a ref who's over in UAE, and then the guys who are paying him over UAE are own Man City. So there's it. I'm not saying that like I'm just saying when, like, let's say when City get a load of decisions in their way, like, and it's all going rosy for them, like, people, like, there's going to be a certain amount of people out there that start pointing the finger at conspiracy theories that it could be bribery or something. Look, it's not like we're laughing now, but like, this happens in football. Like, it's not like it's
It does,
unprecedented.
fair
It's happened in Italy. It's happening. Like, if it all was to come out in like 10 years time, we'd be like, Jesus, sure, that's so obvious. How do we fucking miss it? But I'm not saying that's what's going on, but I'm just saying that these refs going over there to do that opens another level of anger from a certain crowd of fans, because they think, or they might believe, that that sort of thing isn't just them being incompetent, but other things going on. I'm just saying that I don't believe that myself. I'm just saying that that kind of carry on does open the door for that kind of stuff.
In 10 years' time, we're going to come back to this podcast episode and say, Jesus Christ, he was right.
Yeah, and you'll be in the Conference League deck with your 115 charges.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Sorry, go ahead, Adrian.
Happened with Barcelona at the moment.
Yeah.
They were kind of called up on like the last.
That's right. Yeah.
Between 2005 or something and 2017 or 18 or something.
Supposedly the referee involved with that, he was claimed to have been providing consulting.
Yeah.
Consulting.
I always remember Arsenal played them in the Champions League, and Van Persie like kicked the ball away or like took a shot, like didn't hear the thing, and they gave him a second yellow and sent him off, and it was just like, what the hell was that all about?
If it wasn't so obvious,
so weird, like. But anyway,
okay. We'll move on to the weekend predictions. So, as you all know, we're in another brilliant international break. So this week, instead of obviously Premier League fixtures, we are going to predict some international fixtures. So this is the first for the podcast. Again, we brought in something new last week. If you are to predict all 4 correct scores, you will win 2 match tickets to a Premier League team of your choice. So last weekend, nobody got all 4. Nobody even came close to getting all 4. But we are slowly, Dan and Howard are getting a few more correct as the weeks go by. So this week, I'm going to get your predictions on the following games: Netherlands and France, Ireland and Greece, Norway and Spain, and my favorite, Kosovo and Israel. That's going to be a big one. So, Dan, Netherlands and France, what do you think?
Just want to clarify, because it's international, you're not going to be that miserable that you're going to give 2 winning tickets to an international match. It is still going to be Premier League.
Oh God, yeah, Premier League.
That's okay. Just want to clarify that for our listeners, because you are miserable. I wouldn't be surprised if you were there trying to pawn someone off to a fucking Ireland match.
Ireland, Greece,
yeah. They're giving them away,
yeah. I've gone for 3-1 France. Yeah, okay. France have been dominating that group, and they bashed Holland, I think, earlier on in the campaign. I just think when Holland come up against the best teams, they seem to get beaten. So, gone for 3-1 France.
All right, cool. Howard, what do you think?
Yeah, I have 2-0 France. I don't think Netherlands were poor when they played Ireland last day. I thought I wasn't. I know they beat Ireland, but I wasn't impressed with them.
That doesn't say a lot, to be honest.
Exactly.
Adrian, Netherlands or France?
I'm gonna go 1-0 France.
1-0 France. Okay. Yeah, Netherlands have gone backwards, to be honest. Actually.
Yeah, like Valhurst and all that, like gone are the days where you had like Van Persie, or they always used to have Bergkamp or Van Nistelrooy. They used to always have great strikers, and
absolutely,
not anymore.
All right, so on to the second game: Ireland versus Greece. Dan,
I've gone for 1-1. I can't have any faith that Ireland can beat anyone that are half decent. So
Kenny out.
Yeah, I've gone for 1-1. I kind of think that Greece could possibly sneak that second place as well. It's not a sure thing that it's going to be France and Holland. I think Greece could potentially could do some damage possibly. So yeah, I've gone for 1-1.
Howard, what do you think?
Kenny out.
I'm actually going to this game, so I'll give you a report next week when when we're celebrating. I'm hoping a 1-0 win. Is what I'm going for.
Famous 1-0
win. Do you think, Howard, the fact now? Do you think that's the fact now that they it's pretty much nearly
done?
Enough? Yeah. So they know that he's not going to be there for another campaign. So does that kind of make it even that they'll be worse.
It could go either way, couldn't it? It could
Yeah.
easily be worse. But how could it get any worse?
I know, yeah.
No, I think look, at home against a team that's pretty much your kind of similar-ish
Yeah.
level, you'd like to think they might, put on some sort of performance.
Quick question, Howard. Is it tough to get tickets to Ireland match?
No, it's not
That's
that
all.
tough.
I was
Yeah,
just
yeah,
curious. Adrian, Ireland and Greece, what do you think?
I'm going to go 2-1 Ireland.
Okay.
Why not?
We've all gone with them to score at least, so that's a good thing.
Yeah. They're in the Aviva, so it might
yeah.
help.
Okay, this I do think will be a good game. Norway versus Spain. Norway, I mean, they've Haaland, they've Odegaard, you know what I mean? They're not a bad team this year, like kind of this is their golden generation, if you want to call it that. So, Dan, what do you think?
Yeah, I when I went and looked at it, I forgot that Scotland have done ridiculously well, and they're flying at the top. So it's kind of a crunch game, isn't it? In their group. So I've gone for Spain to shade us 2-1.
Howard, what do you think?
I have 2-1, but I'll go 2-0 because Dan to Spain.
Just to be different.
Just to be different.
Yes, Howard.
Dan's predictions have been very poor recently, so I can't keep going with his, okay. Mix it up a bit.
And also, Howard, we can't pick the same ones because we want to be able to nail deck for tickets, so we can't.
Yeah. Exactly. More chances.
Taking me of my hard-earned dollar. Okay.
Honest to God, it'd be the best thing ever. Like it'd be like Christmas come early, wouldn't it? I love
the photos of me and you at the game, like.
Genuinely, I want to get my mother to fucking message into the podcast. I fucking go through my whole extended family. I go through the family tree. I'd love to fucking have you nailed.
Absolutely, work away. Absolutely, I'm telling you. Anyone listening, watching. Like, I want as many people to get involved with this as you can, because I do not think you can predict 4 correct scores. You can't. It can't be done. That's why I'm asking you all to try and prove me wrong. I will happily get 2 tickets to whatever Premier League game you want. I will gladly do it. If someone gets 4 predictions right, they deserve it. But you're never going to do it. So,
no, if you want to wipe that smoke fucking look off his face, you know what to do. I mean.
Oh, very good. Adrian, Norway versus Spain.
So I think Haaland is definitely due a good game.
He is, absolutely.
I think he might take out his anger in this game.
Good man.
So I'm going to go with 4-1 Norway.
Oh, that's a bold statement.
That's a big statement. Jesus Christ.
I'm going to just be mad.
Fair play. No, absolutely. Yeah, we need a little bit more of that. Chelsea beat feckin' Burnley 4-1 at the weekend. No one had that at all. So maybe you need to start.
Villa 1-6-1.
Yeah, Villa 6. I mean, Dan and Howard, maybe you need to, grow a pair and start, coming in with better predictions,
I'm trying to go with the best probability here, Nick. We got 7 innings or whatever. We're not going to stand a chance.
Never mind probability. Or Spurs and Arsenal are top of the league. Forget the text. Forget all that, all right? There is no probability this season. It's a weird season. Go all out. Okay, now Kosovo and Israel. Be interested to see what you come up with here. Dan, you've done your homework, I presume.
I actually did do my homework on this, so I could see that Kosovo are absolutely shite.
Yes.
Israel seem to be half decent as a football club, not as a nation. So I looked at it. Kosovo have drawn 6 of their last 8 games.
Okay.
So I'm going to go for.
They have form.
Yeah. So I'm going to go for 1-1.
Interesting. Any players to look out for that game?
No, there's no one that comes to mind.
Yossi Benayoun, is it? Yossi Benayoun is talking out.
He's still playing at 47 years of age.
What's wrong, Benayoun?
Benayoun, he's still playing at 52 years of age. Howard, what do you think?
I've gone for 1-0 Israel. I think, I think they might get a spiritual 1-0 after all the shenanigans that are going on.
You don't think Kosovo could pull a surprise?
No, but who's playing for Kosovo these days? I thought there was a few decent players for Kosovo. Is anyone?
I don't know. I don't know, Howard.
Just winding you up.
I don't know, Howard. I think they have
a few decent. Yeah.
I think there's a lad on the right wing that plays from John O'Reilly or something like that.
I think the back line are all plumbers apparently.
Yeah, I think so. One of the lads, their goalkeeper's a baker or something like that. Adrian, Kosovo and Israel.
I'm really out of the loop in both of those teams, but do you
That's
know
okay.
what?
We all are.
I might just go with Dan, but not on the same score. I might just go 0-0 draw.
0-0. I think
0-0
that's
draw.
probably the safest bet with that game.
Nice and boring.
No, that's cool. So again, predict all 4 correct scores, and you'll win 2 match tickets to the Premier League to a Premier League team of your choice.
Oh.
So over to you. Now we move on to fantasy football. This should be interesting because there was movement in the table this week. Howard, do tell. How have you now found yourself in third?
I'm up to third, am I? Oh,
He's fifth.
Fifth now, am I? Fifth. All right, yeah. Look, I think ever like since I was called out that time for the wild card, I really knuckled down. I said, "Fuck that! If people are going to be giving me grief, I better pull my socks up." So yeah, that's the background behind that. I played my free hit there. I had Haaland, Alvarez, and Foden, and Ben White, and Odegaard all on my team, and I had a couple of Brighton players as well. So I was like, look, with the games that were coming up, I'd play my free hit. So turned out pretty well. Well, I got an extra maybe 25 points than what I had previously. So I think that's maybe a good return from a free hit. I know, Dan, you might know better than me.
Dan, yeah, just for the novices in fantasy football like myself, what's a free hit? How does it work?
So basically, it's one of your chips that you have at the start of the season. So you can, for one game week, you can just change your whole team, still within your 100 million that you have to spend. But you can just make unlimited transfers basically for 1 week. Then it goes back to your team the following week. So Howard pretty much kind of, I suppose, took out. I think you took out Arsenal, not some of your City players, was it?
Yeah, I took out all Arsenal and all. I left Haaland in obviously just in case
So who else did you bring in?
So I brought in Son, made him captain. Against
an Arsenal
Luton.
fan. An Arsenal fan making Spurs fan.
I had Madison. I had Palace, Johnston in goal from Palace, and I had Anderson centre back as well. The two of them got clean sheets for me. Madison got an assist. I had Hoyland. I thought after his good few goals there, his 2 goals during the week, I thought he'd get another one at the weekend. And then I had Nunes and I had Salah. So Salah obviously did good for me. I don't think many people have Salah, did it, Dan? Like
I have no. There's a few. My brother actually captained them at the weekend.
Cool, yeah.
I've had him since the start. Yeah, but you're probably right in that a lot of people who didn't put him in at the start, they probably couldn't afford them to bring him in because he is quite expensive. You either nearly have him from the get-go or you don't.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of people would leave it and would use their free hit when there's a double game week. So say if there's games on at the weekend and games on during the week, a lot of people would leave and play it then.
Yeah.
But look, sure, it as I said, it worked out for you. You were saying that you would have had less points anyway.
Yeah, I got 25 extra points. So I suppose, look, I know you could have a double game week, but hopefully a lot of players I have for the double game weeks, I'll have the majority of them anyway. So
you would have been cursing though if it was 3-3 classic at the Emirates. You would have
stop! Yeah, it was. Yeah, that result helped me. But like I thought the Tottenham game, I was like, I was going to say, Adrian, it was nearly a Spursy thing that they were going to like. It was 0-0 at half time. I was like, this is classic Spurs now. They're doing all the hard work, and then they come up against a struggling Luton team, and then it just flopped like. Yeah. But they got the win. But I thought that there might be a few more goals.
Dan, how did you get on this weekend?
Yeah, no, I did all right. I actually took a few minus points because I had a good few injured players in my side, so I had to get a few of them out. So I loaded up on a few Spurs players. I had Madison as captain, so he got an assist, so it wasn't too bad. A big shout out to Eric Diarrhea. Now, I think Chris Kelly is a good naval man. He's Spurs fan.
That's the name of his team.
Yeah, Eric Diarrhea. Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
And he got 78 points. Like he had a fucking whopper of a week. He had a standout week. He had Madison as captain. He had Salah. He had Jensen actually of Brentford who got 10 points, and he had Pau Torres, and he had Zinchenko clean sheet. The Spurs goalkeeper as well. So he had an absolute monster of a week. 78 was very high considering most were kind of getting 40s and 50s, and then maybe 1 or 2 60s in there. So
did he move into the top 10?
He's 11th. He moved up to 11th there. Yeah, it was a big move, let's say, for him because he put a really good score. Top at the moment is Andrew Curley. So Curley's Whirlies is back at the top.
Oh, he's back. Oh shit! Thank God. I thought Connor Jordan was back on top over the weekend.
No, Connor Jordan is second.
Ha!
And
Good.
I looked it up there. Like I think from 15th to first, there's only 42 points between them from first down to 15. So it's very tight. And yeah, look, it's international break now. Usually, an awful lot of people haven't used a wild card already. Will use it after the second international break. I suppose things will have settled down. You kind of know now who's looks like they might have a good season, who's not. And then usually when you make your wild card and take all your players and put in new players, usually all the players that were doing shite for the first 8 weeks start doing well. So that's usually the way that works out. So
that's fair enough.
Yeah, so that's the correct there. And your brother is still rotting at the bottom of the table. just to point that out there as well.
Oh, poor Kieran. He never could pick a good team. God love him. Okay, cool. Cheers for that, Dan. So we move on now to Monksland United. So just a quick recap of their fixtures or the results over the weekend and their fixtures this coming weekend. So the under-17 team beat Mullingar 5-2. Their B team game was called off. Good Sunday League form there.
Was the ref again? Oh,
I have no idea. There was no explanation.
2 refs turned up, I think. Was it 2 refs turned up today? Couldn't decide which one.
They ended up beating the shit out of each other. The senior team, Monksland senior team, beat Ballynahound 2-1 in the league. Goals from Kevin Brennan and Oisin McCauley. I don't know if you've seen the Instagram story or the reel of Monksland United's second goal. Scored by. Have you seen it, Howard?
Oh, it was outrageous.
I saw a clip of it, yeah.
It was ridiculous.
It was like a Xabi Alonso style, just fucking cross fielder.
It was ridiculous. Who made that pass was a lad called Reese Moran. And
keep it up, Reese.
Honest, it was ridiculous. I mean, remember those names, okay? I swear to God, if you haven't seen the goal, go on to the Football Fanatic podcast Instagram page, look at the reels, and you'll see the goal. And definitely worth a watch. And fair play to them; they find themselves top of the league. Next weekend, they are at home to Arlington in the FAI Junior Cup Round 2. The B team, unfortunately, they're idle again next weekend, so can't seem to get a game at the moment. And their under-17s are at home to Gallen on Saturday. Gallen United, that is. Last man standing. So things are getting interesting now. Down to the last 40. So there are 10 eliminated this weekend. Dan, you were down to the last 40. Things are getting serious. So who did you have this weekend?
Well, I had a nice little email from about 7 minutes ago. Just popped up there on the screen. And it was congratulations, you're through to the next round. So
very good.
I had Fulham. I'm in 2, and the Monksland one I picked Fulham, and I picked Palace in the other one. And I kind of had it between either Palace or Everton, and I just went with Palace. So anyway, Monksland one, I had Fulham, and I said it a couple of weeks ago on the pod that I would be using Liverpool for the Merseyside derby, so that is what's next. So I'll be using.
Oh, Liverpool. Really? I'd say that's a fairly. Well, look, they're slowly starting to tick, but I mean, you'd imagine Liverpool are at home.
It's in Anfield, yeah.
It's Anfield. I know it's a 12:30 kickoff. You know, we got over that hoodoo, I think, and we have a really good, a ridiculously good record against Everton. So, I haven't used Liverpool yet, so they'll be, I think, the next one to be pushed out there. So.
Any other big ones that you have left? Any other top 6?
I have a few that I haven't used United yet either.
I'll stay away from them, I'd say.
Yeah, I haven't used United. Haven't used Chelsea yet. I don't know. I did. I used Chelsea against Luton.
Who do you so you have Everton after the break. Howard, you have Chelsea after the break.
Chelsea away, yeah.
Adrian, who do you have after the break? Any idea?
Almost certain Spurs are playing. Is it Sheffield United?
Oh, you have a good run of games. I think Spurs' next 3 or 4 are they're handy enough. Yeah.
I got myself tickets to Man City versus Spurs on December 2nd, so I'm looking forward to that one.
It's Spurs versus Fulham in Spurs.
That's right. It's Monday Night Football, actually.
Yeah, Monday night, and Crystal Palace then the Friday night. So it's Monday and Friday. So
City have Brighton actually at home on the Saturday, so that could be an interesting one as well. All right, so listen, that wraps us up. We brought in a new segment as well. AOB, gentlemen, any other business to declare?
Do you think any more about the Christmas party? No.
I told you last week what we're doing for the Christmas party, and I told you exactly what you're getting at the Christmas party. No, listen, that's all, gentlemen. Thank you very much again, Adrian, for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Thanks so much.
No worries. Again, if you can subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Spotify, we'd really appreciate it. Next week we have Keenan, apologies, a Roma fan coming on. So he's going to be talking to us about the Italian league, which is will be a very interesting conversation. So we will leave it there, gentlemen. Thank you very much to you all. I hope you have a good week.
Thanks, Deck.
No
Cheers, Deck. And make sure everyone to get your predictions in. Tell your family, tell your friends, tell your deceased relatives, tell them all.
I'll enjoy the next 2 weeks while I can.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right, guys. Listen, have a good week, okay?
Cheers, Deck.
Cheers, Deck.
Cheers. Good luck.
See you now.